Welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Bernadine Cataletta, and I'm a member of the worship team. Welcome to this morning, this day, this opportunity to be together in community. It's a time of joy and comfort. This Unitarian Universalist Congregation is a place where we come to learn about being human. We're not here because we've figured out all of life's questions or because we think we've got it all right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in one another. Emerson UU is a non-creedal congregation, and all are welcomed here. We honor the inherent worth and dignity of each and every person. No matter what your theological or spiritual beliefs, you are welcomed here. I want to offer a welcome also to those of you who are joining us for the first time or returning after an absence. We hope that you are nourished in heart and mind by our worship today. I want to offer a special welcome to our speaker and vocalists. Dr. Anthony Stringer is a clinical neuropsychologist and a professor in the Emory University School of Medicine. He has won numerous awards for his research and teaching and has been named a fellow of the American Psychological Association and the National Academy of Neuropsychology. Dr. Stringer is a member of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, or UUCA. He has held numerous leadership positions there. Dr. Stringer co-founded a UU African percussion choir that spread the good news of Unitarian Universalism through drumming performances. These included a performance at the United Nations Festival and in the opening ceremony of the 1996 Olympics. Joining Dr. Stringer this morning is Shauna Floyd and Sharon Glass. Shauna and Sharon are also members of UUCA and both serve on the Board of Trustees. Both Shauna and Sharon are gifted musicians, being self-taught to play more than a dozen musical instruments. They have performed for UUCA as members of several vocal ensembles, bringing their joyful African-American musical heritage to their congregation's music program. Welcome, Dr. Stringer, Shauna, and Sharon. Following our service today, there will be religious exploration classes for children, youth, and adults. Please refer to your order of service for a list of today's schedule, as well as upcoming activities. And now, our chalice lighting. Our chalice lighting this morning is adapted from the writing of Eric Wagner. We light our chalice with the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit, touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of justice. It is the divine glow in every life.
If it wasn't for bad luck,
I wouldn't have no luck at all.
He sure got away with women.
'Cause he got away with mine.
I gave you a brand new Ford. You said, I want a Cadillac.
I bought you a $10 dinner. You said thanks for the snack.
I let you live in my penthouse. You said it was just a shack.
I gave you 7 children.
And now you want to give them back.
Don't nobody love me but my mother.
And she could be jiving too.
The blues don't just make you cry, they can also make you laugh. When love has left you lonely, the blues remind you that you are not alone. Misery loves company because company cures the blues. Embrace the cure.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from home. A long way from home. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend. A long way from home. A long way from home. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. A long way from home. A long way from home.
Good morning. I'm Susan Ullman, a member of our Emerson Pastoral Care Team. We're available with a listening ear to support you during challenging times and times of celebration too. Contact us anytime through pastoralcare@emersonuu.org. This email address is in the order of service today. At this time in our service, we pause to share personal joys and sorrows of our Emerson community. We encourage you to email your joy or sorrow to us through pastoralcare@emersonuu.org to be included in the upcoming Sunday service. After I share today's joys and sorrows, I will light a candle. Each Sunday, we also light our vigil bowl. Its light represents the light of hope for peaceful resolution of all conflicts on our planet, and it honors dedicated people who serve us, especially people on the front lines fighting COVID-19 and those giving tremendous efforts to stop racial injustice. Today, I share these joys and sorrows with you. First, a joy from Reverend Deborah Morgan Bennett. A special thank you joy to the Emerson staff, the worship team and pastoral care team, and Reverend Arsenault for providing wonderful worship services and taking care of our community in July, allowing Jim and me to travel to the Northeast to spend time with our beloved children and some close friends. We are so grateful for the trip and are grateful as well to be back home to Emerson with you again. There are some sorrows also from Pamela Kent. My mother, Jackie Crenshaw Johnson, passed away July 17th after a lengthy illness. Our family celebrated her life this past weekend, and we have decades of wonderful memories to carry. Another sorrow from the Curly Obrero family. Cynthia was hospitalized overnight, July 22nd. She's weak but slowly gaining strength back, with her family taking really good care of her. Positive energy is always welcome, Cynthia adds. Send healing thoughts, or you can find their home and email addresses in the Emerson directory if you'd like to send a card. And a sorrow from Colleen Radbill. On July 25th, my mother, Marie Donahue, passed away in Florida after contracting coronavirus. Marie was 91 years old and is greatly missed by her 6 children, 11 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Also, Colleen's niece died earlier in July after a fall, so her family is grieving yet another loss. We know there are joys and sorrows left unspoken today. Please feel free to speak aloud the name of anyone you hold closely in your heart this morning. Now let's send our heartfelt intentions to people everywhere by offering the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. The words are printed in your order of service for today. Please join along with me. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May they be free from harm or suffering. May they be well in body, heart, and mind. May they be at peace. Blessed be.
Good morning. Thank you, Susan, and holding Pamela and Cynthia and Colleen in our hearts so deeply. Well, hello, everyone, and it's so good to be back with you. And thank you again for all of those wonderful people that held our services this past month. It's been a joy to watch them and be part of them in that way. Well, I get the pleasure of sharing our Time for All Ages, and this morning I would like to invite a few guests. So let me see if we can get some guests to join us this morning. I'm waiting, and there we have them. Hello, Lauren, and hello, Gunther. Hello, Brody. Thanks for joining us. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. And we're at a new house, a farmhouse.
That is so exciting to hear. Well, you know what I'm going to talk about today? I'm not going to tell you a story exactly, but I want to talk a little bit about a superpower. That's a pretty good thing to talk about. Now, I'm not talking about the superpower that Bernadine showed this morning. Did you see our chalice lighting this morning? Bernadine had a special superpower. She took a candle and just blew on it and it came to life and lit. I don't know how she did that. That was a superpower. But that's not the
I didn't want to see that.
You'll have to watch the video. It was very good. But there's another superpower I want to talk about today, and I want to talk about somebody that used this power that they had to deliver a really important message. And it was a message that had a lot of really strong emotions to it. Now I'm going to imagine, Gunther and Brody, sometimes you've been upset about something, or maybe you've been really sad or really hurt. What do you do when that happens? What's one way that you express yourself when you feel really sad or hurt?
I go do something that's fun.
You go do something that's fun? That's one way to do it.
And when I need to do something silly, I sing a silly song.
You sing a silly song. Well, guess what?
Can we sing one of them?
Not right now, Gunther, but you know what? Maybe later, because that's the superpower I want to talk about. Because a powerful way to express when we're feeling pain or sorrow is through singing. And it sounds like maybe you've done that. And there's this name for this type of music where when you use to express those really hard, painful things. And do you know what it's called? Have you ever heard of this? It's called the blues. Isn't that interesting? Have you ever heard of being blue? Sometimes being blue, when somebody says I'm blue, it means I'm really, really sad. Well, I want to tell you, and you probably know this, there was a time in this country where Black people in the South were forced into slavery. And they were made to do really hard work without being paid, and they didn't have the freedom to choose not to do that. So it was a really hard, painful time. And during that time, many of the Black people who were enslaved began to use singing as a way to express themselves, to express their pain and their sorrow, and express some of what they were going through as they were trapped in this situation. And because their voices weren't usually allowed to be just spoken, you know, sometimes if something's bothering you, I bet you just go to your mom and say, Mom, here's what's bothering me. Do you ever do that, Gunther? No? Well, I bet your mom would welcome you doing that. And you have the freedom to do that. But people didn't always have the freedom to do that. So they used singing as a way to express things that were really painful and really sad and really horrible. And then even after that form of slavery ended, many Black people who had been enslaved kept on singing like that, kept on using this powerful form of expression. And that's why this music then became known as the blues. And guess what? What's your favorite music, Gunther?
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Well, did you know that if it wasn't for blues music, rock and roll would probably not even exist? That it was blues music. Yeah, it was blues music that really influenced rock and roll. So something to check out sometime. Luckily, today in the service, we're going to hear some blues music. Well, we already sung a little bit of blues music, but we're going to hear some more. And then there's this one person I want to tell you about who became very well known for their blues music, and her name was Billie Holiday. Have you ever heard of Billie Holiday? That's a pretty fun name, isn't it? Billie Holiday kind of sounds like a very special name. Well, Billie had this superpower, and her superpower was really in her voice. And one way that she used this superpower was to express all the pain and the sorrow and the unjustness of the racism that she saw happening in her life, and she knew that people had experienced before. And you know what happened? Well, some of her songs became so popular that they became what's known as protest songs. Have you ever heard of a protest song, Gunther?
No.
Well, protest song. What's that, Lauren?
I said he sings plenty of protest songs.
Yeah, because a protest song is a way to, again, express yourself. But when something isn't right, we can use singing as a way to say, hey, bring attention to this. Everybody look at this thing that isn't right. And so some of her songs became really well known as these protest songs, these blues protest songs. But guess what? Some people didn't want her to sing. And especially some white people felt really uncomfortable when she sang some of these songs. So they tried to stop her. And she was even arrested for singing some of her songs. Can you imagine being arrested for singing a song? That's not okay. But guess what? She decided to keep on singing anyway. That was pretty brave of her, right? Why do you think she did that? Why do you think even though somebody was going to arrest her for singing these songs, she just kept on singing?
I don't know.
You don't know? I think it's because she was just really brave. And she just really felt deep in her heart that these were songs. And I know I read some stories about her, how it was really hard for her to sing some of these songs. But she just felt like, you know, people need to hear this. So she just really got really brave and decided to sing them. So it's a good lesson for all of us that sometimes when we see something that's wrong, when we experience something that's really painful or really hard, that we can use our voices to express that, and we can use singing to express that. You want to try it sometime with your mom?
Yeah, we'll
to explore the blues. Explore the blues, Gunther, okay? And check out how they're really related to rock and roll sometime. You might be fascinated by that. But I'm going to invite you to use your voices now, and let's come together and sing our song of dedication, okay?
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fairness.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to invite us into a time of meditation. And this morning's meditation I'm going to invite you into is really just a sound meditation. Because today we're talking about that power of the voice and the power of actually hearing what's being said. I think for many of us to really dive into listening, what are some of the songs? You know, sometimes we sing a song and we're not really listening to the words. So it takes really deep listening to be able to recognize and hear what is being said. So I'm going to invite you into a sound meditation using a singing bowl. So when you're ready, I'll just take a minute or two to do this. So allow your eyes to close if that feels comfortable for you, or perhaps just have soft eyes where you're looking down a little bit. And see if you can kind of clear a space around wherever you are this morning, in your homes or offices. Put the cup of coffee or tea down maybe, or just hold it in your hand, allowing your eyes to be soft, and take that deep breath. So that the first sound you start to hear, in addition to my voice, is the sound of your breath. And as you settle into that quiet, I'm going to invite you just to take in the sounds and to follow these trails of sounds that the singing bowl will make, and see where they take you. As the sound of the singing bowl starts to fade, bring your awareness back to your breath, letting the breath and the sound come together. Allow your ears and your hearing to be open as we take in some deep sounds of the blues. Blessed be.
Strange Fruit is a monument. It is a song. It is a trial, convened and presided over by Billie Holiday. She is judge, but also investigator, prosecutor, witness, and grand jury. This is an indictment. black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar tree. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter crop.
Do we require that our prophets be Buddhas or Christs? If so, Billie Holiday was no prophet. There was little that was Buddha-like in her nature, yet her life exemplifies the search for transcendence. She had much to transcend. A life that began in poverty, parents who abandoned her, an adolescence that introduced her to prostitution, lifelong battles with drug addiction, so much to transcend, and she did not always succeed. There was little that was Christ-like in her behavior or manner. She could be rude, challenging, profane, self-destructive, and grievously unwise in her choices. Yet in her lived a voice that could transform the listener. And despite politically motivated persecution up until her very death, her spirit and influence endured long after an ignoble ending to her life. In our quest for self-knowledge and human understanding, if we are to follow only Buddha, Christ, and others that we would place in their exalted company, then I will waste your time this morning on this conversation about Billie Holiday, her blues, and the circumstances that led to them. But if, like me, you draw knowledge not only from the greatest heights at which we humans can soar, but also from the lowest depths which we human beings can plumb. If, like me, you find an awareness of self not only in the spiritual highs, but also in the emotional lows of life, then join me in this exploration of Billie's blues.
Good morning, heartache, you old gloomy sight. Good morning, heartache, thought we said goodbye last night. I turned and tossed till it seemed you had gone. But here you are with the dawn. Wish I'd forget you, but you're here to stay. It seems I met you when my love went away. where every day I start by saying to you, good morning, heartache, what's new? Good morning, heartache, here we go again. Good morning, heartache, you're the one who knew me when. Might as well get used to you hanging around. Good morning, heartache, sit down.
What are the blues? Is it merely the color we give to clinical depression? Or is it the sheen of insight that comes from authentic encounters with the common unfairness in human existence? Is the blues a voice arising from the hoarse throat of a particular oppressed people? Or is it the universal song of human suffering? Are blues songs just about sadness and grief? Or do they encompass a dark comedy, a recognition of the things we all go through? The lover who leaves us brokenhearted, the hunch that never pays off, the opportunity we missed again, the third, fourth, or fifth time we couldn't help but make the same foolish mistake. Is the blues about pessimism or pessimisticism? The near certainty that the universe is out to get us. If it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all.
Them that's got shall have, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible says, and it still is news. Mama may have and Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got her own, that's got her own. Yes, the strong get more while the weak ones fade. Empty pockets don't ever make the grade. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Rich relations give crust of bread and such. You can help yourself, but don't take too much. Oh, Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got their own, that's got their own.
Them that's got shall have, them that's not shall lose. Billy doubtlessly began life of one of them that's not. Born Eleanora Fagan in 1915 to two unmarried teenagers, what little Billy had left her early on. Her father abandoned mother and child to pursue his career as a jazz guitarist, and her mother left Billy to be raised by an assortment of relatives and acquaintances. Billy disclosed little of her childhood when she published her autobiography entitled Lady Sings the Blues. But what we do know is grim. Sporadic school attendance before dropping out entirely at age 11. Sexually assaulted at age 12. Working as a prostitute by age 14, for which she was arrested and sentenced to labor in a workhouse. And yet, in these grim years, she discovered both the music and the innate talent that would take her from such beginnings to worldwide fame. Louis Armstrong's horn and Bessie Smith's voice summoned her from the brothel to the stage. She went from Eleanor Fagan, the child whose life was the blues, to Billie Holiday, the woman who sang the blues like no one had before. Music producer John Hammond heard the underage Billie singing in a Harlem nightclub and was so impressed with her voice that he arranged for this unknown girl to record with the famous Benny Goodman Band. Hammond said that hearing Billie changed his career. She was the first girl singer, he said, who actually sang like an improvising jazz genius. Billie was only 18. And she became, at that moment, as the song so aptly describes, the motherless child who got her own. She took pedestrian pop tunes and transformed them into unforgettable masterpieces of jazz vocalization. She performed with the top jazz musicians of the era. It was Lester Young, one of the greatest jazz saxophone players of any era, who gave her the nickname Lady Day. Many of her recordings were created on the spot, in the studio without written arrangements or rehearsals. And those recordings topped the music charts and saved more than one struggling record company from bankruptcy. She became the first Black woman to be hired to sing with a white jazz orchestra and the first Black female singer to tour the South with a white band. She faced heckling and discrimination, but fearlessly gave back as good as she got, sometimes having to be physically restrained to keep her from going after men yelling racist insults from the audience. I think Billie's greatest act of resistance, however, was her performance and recording of Strange Fruit. Based on a poem written by a Jewish school teacher about a Black lynching, the song had a deeply personal meaning for Billie. As an adult, she found and developed a relationship with a father who had abandoned her. But she lost him again when he succumbed to an acute illness and was denied treatment because of his race. It was to Billie as painful and as violent an ending to his life as if he had been lynched. And it was that very personal loss that Billie chronicled when she sang of Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Though one record company refused to release it and most radio stations refused to play it on the air, it became Holiday's best-selling recording. At her insistence, the nightclub, bar, or concert hall would be in complete silence. The only stage illumination would be a spotlight shining upon her face alone. She would sing the stark and startling voices in that signature voice of hers. And with the last line, the room would fall into complete darkness. And when the lights came up, she was gone. Strange Fruit became her signature song, and it remained the finale of her performances for 20 years. Time magazine called it the song of the 20th century. As such, it deserves our listening, painful though it may be. The connection between Billie's life and Billie's art is direct and raw. She sang Strange Fruit with a poignancy of personal loss. She sang Motherless Child when her mother refused to loan her money. Some of her most popular songs were inspired by her wayward husband's extramarital affairs. That Old Devil Called Love and Hush Now, Don't Explain directly chronicle the highs and lows of her marriage. From Billie yesterday to Beyonce today, there is justice in growing rich and famous off of a cheating man. With the ladies listening, say amen. Never cheat on a woman who has an audience. But if she is black, if she is blue, and if you are the US government, you can kill that woman, no matter who she might choose to sing to. Billie Holiday was a drug addict. Billie Holiday was an alcoholic. Being a great artist doesn't change those hard facts. But the hard facts of her life could drive many of us to the drug or to the drink. What happens to people in our society who abuse drugs? Like so many other things, it depends upon who they are. If they're white, they're likely to first be offered psychiatric treatment. But if they are black, the response has always been to first treat them to jail. That was certainly the response to Billie Holiday. In fact, the US government made a mission out of prosecuting the lady who sang the blues. Johann Hari, in an article entitled The Hunting of Billie Holiday, details this mission. The hunter in this story is Harry Anslinger, the appointed head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, an agency that was on the verge of being shut down, an agency that had been corrupted and badly damaged by the doomed Prohibition-era war against alcohol sale and consumption, an agency in need of a new target to justify its continuing existence. Anslinger was no fan of jazz and no appreciator of the blues. Such music sounded, he wrote, like jungles in the dead of night. To him, jazz musicians' lives reeked of filth, and in jazz music he found not rhythm, not swing, not freedom, but what to him seemed, quote, ancient and indecent rites. He sent out agents to gather evidence of the drug use of dozens of jazz musicians and dreamed of one great bust when he would arrest a lot of them in a single day. But failing in this grand scheme, he ultimately settled on one target, Billie Holiday. A month after she first publicly performed Strange Fruit, a month after she had the audacity to confront America with its heritage of lynching, Anslinger assigned a black covert agent to the sole pursuit of Billie Holiday. Now, I'm not prone to conspiracy theories, but I suspect the timing was no coincidence. Our government at the time found the song so very threatening that the House Un-American Activities Committee summoned its author to testify under oath whether the American Communist Party was somehow behind it. The lady who had previously only sang the blues was suddenly singing a politically threatening tune. The pursuit of Holiday ended the only way it could, with her standing before a judge in the case that was called the United States of America versus Billie Holiday. The singer confessed in court to her drug addiction, but rejected any show of pity from the judge or the jury. She asked only to be sent to a hospital. She asked for a chance to be cured of her addiction. At the height of her career, she was sentenced to a year in prison instead. This was 1947, but the same scenario continued to play on in Holiday's life, like the proverbial broken record, as she was pursued and prosecuted for the next decade. In 1959, malnourished and suffering from liver cirrhosis, she lay dying in New York Metropolitan Hospital. Just before receiving last rites from a Catholic priest, the Narcotics Bureau raided her room, handcuffed her, and placed her under arrest for drug possession. She died 2 days later, at age 44, her body shrunken and wasted. her final thoughts are unlikely to have been of the next great masterpiece she would sing. She would have been much too preoccupied with thoughts of her next appearance before a compassionless legal system. Fortunately, her death removed her from any further prosecution. It is a peculiarity of the human mind that we explain our own bad behavior by making reference to external circumstances. The devil made me do it. If you live in the South, you've heard that one. She drove me to it. Were it not for this, were it not for that, I would not be in this mess today. Our own bad behavior we explain, we understand, we excuse by making reference to forces beyond ourselves. But the same behaviors exhibited by others are always their own damn fault. And often we follow this by saying, to hell with them. Social scientists call this the human attribution error, to find external excuses for ourselves while we seek inherent guilt in others. We justify and absolve ourselves while we blame and condemn others. There are many ways to respond to the pain of others. We can blame them, we can shame them, we can condemn them, we can ignore them, we can hate them for disturbing our peace. But as liberal religious people, there is but one response consistent with who we are. That is to love them in their pain. I ask you today, as you ponder all the inequities that surround us, all the tempests and waves that toss the most vulnerable among us, I ask you to remember that we have a calling to love. We ascribe many things to the flame we light to start our worship. We called it a flame of truth, a flame of justice, a flame of protest, a flame of righteousness, a flame of kinship and community, a flame of hope. Indeed, it is all these things. But the Austrian artist commissioned to design our chalice as a symbol of the Unitarian Service Committee's work to rescue Jews from Nazi Germany saw it as a flame of sacrifice and love. Before all else, the flame that burns within us, the flame that burns before us, is a flame of love. Why do I love Billie Holiday? It is not just that I love her music, not just that I thrill at her voice. It is that her imperfect, messy, victimized, and ultimately tragic life invites me to love her. She sacrificed her dignity, her autonomy, even her physical safety for the love of men who did not deserve her. Billie was no prophet. She was no Buddha. She was no Christ. But I draw purpose not only from the heights we soar, but also from the depths we plumb. I draw inspiration from those who are capable of emerging from such depths with their capacity to love still intact. For they teach us that while there is a time to demand justice, a time to demand better behavior, a time to insist on commitments being kept and responsibilities met, there is also a time to simply love, unconditionally, even unrequitedly. I hope to be capable someday of a love so impervious, so unrelenting, so enduring, so true that it can whisper, if even for a moment, hush now, don't explain.
You know that I love you, and what love endures. Nothing rates above you, for I'm so
completely yours.
Hush now, don't explain. You're my joy and pain. My life's yours, love. Don't explain.
And may it be so.
The vision of this congregation is to be a beacon of love, justice, and service. As you are able, please affirm your support for this vision through a monetary offering. When we give, we say yes to something we value, and we sincerely hope that you have found great value here today. We hope you will return again to worship and to join us as a community that works for positive change in the world. The methods of giving are being displayed on the screen.
When the blues make you cry,
may you find joy within these walls.
when love leaves you lonely,
May this community love you all the more.
when you're miserable and oh so cold,
May this community warm your soul.
the worship ends.
But your service to one another begins.
Go in peace.
Return in love.
Amen.
We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again.